You are now listening to The Jason Damico Show.
Greetings, folks. Welcome back to The Jason Damico Show. So glad you are here once again. And special thanks to everybody coming in, filing in from Telegram, Rumble, Simplecast, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, YouTube. We love you guys, and we're so blessed to have you here again for another episode. And I've got a special treat for you, as always. As I say before every single episode and in the beginning of every episode, we've got a special guest for you on this episode. So our guest today is a multi-award winning international blues singer-songwriter who has appeared on and released more than a dozen albums. His latest collaborations include working with other blues genre icon greats such as Hans Thiessenk and Eric Bibb. Please welcome to the show, Big Daddy Wilson. Big Daddy, it's so great to have you. It's been about 9 years since I've seen you and shared the stage with you at the Durham Blues Festival back in 2013. You look great. You haven't aged at all. If anything, you probably look a little bit younger. So great to have you, my friend. Welcome.
Oh, man. Thanks, Q. Thank you so much. Happy to be here and really good to see you again after all of these years. And yeah, man, it's an honor and a privilege to talk to you. So I'm very happy.
Likewise. It's so great to have you. And I had a chance to, do my little, couple of hours of prep before each show, was kind of diving deep into your career. And you've released a lot of music since I last saw you almost 10 years ago. So it was great to kind of get acquainted and more just more caught up with your career. And it's really amazing to see you just still killing it out there and being so prolific.
Well, I've been blessed, and I had a lot of good people around me supporting me, and so I started late in my career, and I had a lot of catching up to do. So I had so much to say, and I wanted to get it all out there. So I've been supported in a great way, and so I'm happy to have achieved so much in this short period of time. So it's been good for me.
Well, speaking of, beginning, I'd love to start there in kind of your beginning stages. I read that you actually grew up. So we broadcast and I'm based out of North Carolina, and you are a North Carolinian originally, I believe, Edenton, correct?
That's right. Little Edenton, yeah.
So kind of walk me through those beginning stages of life in Edenton. It's kind of an incredible story from where you started. And you have a little bit of a military background, which actually brought you to Germany, and right, where you are now. Would love to just kind of, dive into that for a few minutes.
Life in Edenton. Well, Edenton is a small little town in the South, North Carolina, East Coast. And it's a close-knit community, basically farming community. And so I had a beautiful childhood. It's a beautiful little town. I think it's called the prettiest, smallest town in the South. So got a little history, and we're proud of that. I started my music there, but not really, indirectly, because my cousin was a drummer in a high school band and a bass player, and all of my cousins around me, they played piano, done something with music. I was too shy, and so I didn't do anything really in a big way with music, just a little drumming. And like you mentioned earlier, it was later when I was in Germany. I had joined the Army. I left Edenton and joined the U.S. Army and was stationed in Germany. And there I went to my first blues concert.
Wow.
In Edenton, we listened to country music on the radio, and then we listened to some of the soul, and was a station from Norfolk, Virginia. WRAP used to play some of the soul music, and then I listened to some of the black music. But for me, it was gospel and country that I grew up listening to. And as I got older, I started listening to more of the soul, the black music. And then when I got here in Germany, my wife carried me to my first blues concert, and I was overwhelmed. I knew that this was the music for me. And from then on, I started to dig into this music and started a band, and joined a band, and started to play this music. Yeah.
That's so cool. So cool. Who are some of your main influences as far as you know, blues and gospel? Well, who are a few when you were really, kind of growing up and listening on the
Yeah,
radio?
gospel was a band called the Mighty Clouds of Joy. The Blind Boys from Alabama, and all of these bands was for gospel, but for blues, like I say, I didn't know the blues artists, so I started listening to. Uh, Later, it was me for me. Earlier was Robert Cray, and
Yeah.
then I got turned on to acoustic blues, and then it was the younger guys, Kev Moe, but after a while, I got turned on to some of the traditional blues, Mississippi John Hurt, and these guys, and so and then I was blown away again, and then that would put me in contact with listening to this guy would put me in contact with Eric Beale, acoustic singer songwriter, blues singer songwriter, and so there was my first inspiration. Of course, was Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
Was I used to cover a lot of his songs before I started to perform in my own music. My program was filled up with Eric Clapton, Robert Cray, a little BB King also, but I didn't get into that blues shuffle that much, and so it was more of that of the finger picking style of blues and the songwriter, the singer songwriter style.
Right.
I was headed in that direction more.
Yeah, I can hear that. It's very prevalent in your music, and for those that haven't heard of you and will obviously hear of you now from the interview and check out what you've got, uh, it's very safe to say that you've had an eclectic mix of acoustic with also full band. You've worked with Jim Gaines, I believe, who was a huge producer with Stevie Ray Vaughan, and he's worked with many others. I think Steve Miller Band. So I kind of want to go back to Germany for like your first days in Germany for a second, because I when I was reading your bio, this is really interesting to me. You were stationed there in the military,
That's right.
and in Germany, that was kind of when you started doing the German, like the blues circuit over there. And I was just curious how that happened. Like, where was the inspiration for that, and what was that like? Just going around and once you got kind of arrested by the music, you're like, man, I want to go out and do this. What was that process like? And just kind of walk us through that, because I think that's fascinating.
Well, it was I was looking for a band to do my work with. I used to be I used to write poems, and so but I always felt that they were songs, but I was too shy to sing it. So once I found a band that would do my songs, that I could tell my story, then of course, we look for venues to play, and it was difficult to get the band parts working. They end
Right.
up doing. I started doing just the duo and trio stuff, where a guitarist and me on percussion and a harp player, and that's how I started doing most of the touring back in those days, and it was wonderful because I was not all that confident about my voice. I just was interested in getting my story out, and the guys they loved my voice, and I said, "Wow!" And so that was something unusual. And when I got to go back and forward. So
Yeah.
I sung my first song in front of someone. It was in church, and the people they didn't laugh, but the people looked like, "Wow, this guy cannot do it." It was me and my sister. I was about 8 years old, and the people said, "What is he singing? What are you doing?" It sounded like I was just talking because my voice was at 8 years old still heavy, and I was nervous and I was not singing, and that was a bad experience. So I said I would never sing again.
Mm.
And so I was not confident that I had any type of voice. But when I was singing here with the duo, that was the main part of my program was the vocal.
Yeah.
And they loved the vocals. I tried to speak clear English so they could understand and follow the story, because that was important for me. And over here, they have an audience, a big audience for blues music, and especially acoustic blues, a set down audience. it's like a theater. They sit down, they listen carefully, and they really enjoy the story that you're telling and also the music. And so that was a very good experience and helped me a lot as a songwriter and to develop my voice. Yeah.
When did you find your voice, so to speak? Because you do have such a natural, organic sound, and obviously that nice, resonating baritone that everybody talks about on the internet. How did that happen for you? Did it just like when they started loving your voice, was that immediate, or did you see a progression over time? Like how, because you're just such a natural, gifted talent.
Yes, I think it was natural. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know I started to be very careful when I was listening to a lot of Eric Bibb and started working with him. You want to naturally I speak old type of English, and in my mannerism, sometimes the words and the grammar don't fit today's world. And but it's okay if you still be clear enough that the people can get the sense of what you're saying.
Right.
So we're working with him. That's what we did. We started to make sure we pronounced the words clear, even though they were slang words. You just wanted to give them that color, that feel,
yeah,
and that authenticity. And so I started to focus on that a little bit. But far as working on the voice, just sing from your heart, and that's all I know how. So yeah, it's a gift. That's all I can say.
Absolutely. And it's funny, you kind of just answered a question that I was going to ask and follow up with, which is, and if you can expand on it, great. What are you thinking about when you're performing? And I've kind of been throwing this question in a little bit more in recent interviews because I think it's really important for, especially for young audiences. Me as a younger guy, still, I'm always trying to learn from folks that have just been doing this decades more than me. And it's always great to hear kind of the psychology behind the performer as far as like, what are you trying to deliver? Are you thinking about mechanics at all, or is it really just from the heart? So we'd love to just kind of hear your thoughts on that.
Okay. First of all, you got it, man. You got that beautiful strength and power in your voice also. And
I
so
appreciate it. Thanks.
I really love to listen to you. But I don't think about the mechanics of it. I do think about are my words and are the message being understood, and can they feel me? I want them to feel what the story is about. I want them to feel what I'm about, and so I try to make that a personal connection. And so I with every word and every time I might take a breath, I try to put as much energy as I can, much of my own soul as I can in that word without overdoing it at the same time. You don't want to, because these stories that I tell are true stories. You see, I just talk about a story of my life or some experience that someone else told me about that they had, and so I want to do justice to that. And so that's just my main focus, and then I want the music that's accompanying me, that it lay the right platform for me, the background for me for that story, so that people can get that picture without being preached to as a sermon. They still need to feel entertained and have something to smile about in their heart, or even laugh about. It all depends on the story.
Right.
And that's important that they get that, what the song is all about, and not what. Don't focus so much on the performer. So focus on the song in that moment, and that's what I try to do.
It's fantastic. I think it's great. Hard Time Blues, one of your recent singles and records, came out last year. Love it. And that was actually one of the first things that I think I put in the email when I sent to you guys, just like, this music video is fantastic. And then come to find out, you guys racked up some awards with that, some film festival awards, and got nominations and a lot of recognition. We'll have that link down below for that music video somewhere in the description box, wherever you guys are watching or listening to this. But Kind of walk me through that as well. Obviously, I think it has some pandemic undertones. It's got some political stuff going on, but ultimately, it's really a song to me about, for me, just bringing people together with all of the things in life that are reflective, all the things in life that are um, that just resonate with everybody. You know,
Yeah.
everybody has these hard time blues. I think it was just outstanding. I love the music video. Would love to talk a little bit more about it.
Well, yeah, Hard Time Blues is my uh, soul blues type, modern soul blues type a CD. I, I'm always I'm influenced by so much and so many different type of styles of music, and so I always want to be able to deliver that part. And what happened during the pandemic, we was home and I had planned on recording the CD with my band. Eric Bibb, a producer, they was working on the CD, and he called me and asked me to do some vocal tracks on a song, and I did it. And I always been wanting to work with this producer. His name is Glenn Scott, incredible guy. And I said, well, I can't afford it. This guy here, he's out there. He's really out there.
Yeah.
And so since he had me, I had him on the phone, and I said, and I told him I'd like to work with you on this, CD that I'm doing. And he asked me to send him a couple of songs and to take a look at him, and he would, and definitely he did. He mixed 4 songs for me.
Wow.
For free.
Wow.
What he could do, and they went totally different than what I had. I mean, in a positive way.
Right.
He failed the message what I was trying to bring out, and I was hooked to him, on him, and then we decided let's do it. We went ahead with the project, and we did the whole album. And like you said, it's a message. It's a testimony about me and my career. Hopefully, you can get a bit of everything in that song. I mean, that CD and that album, and I think it's my best work until now, and I'm very pleased and happy with it. And then the video came about where my best friend, my childhood friend from Edenton, North Carolina, uh, he loved. I sent him the song to check their album out, some of the song.
Yeah.
And he loved it so much, and he said, that song, we need to do a video. And his daughter is a movie star in Hollywood.
Wow.
But also, she's a director.
Yeah.
And she said, well, she's going to direct a video for this. And they brought out, man, the whole 9 works, the whole LA people, and came to Edenton, and we did a video like movie stars. And so, I mean, they had a big cast, it was a big time thing. I normally do little small type of video here and there, but they brought it out, man. They brought everything out, red carpet and everything. And so we did it. And it's about my little hometown and about, the positive, about my religious a little bit.
Yeah.
It's folky, it's funky, soulful, and bluesy and rootful. So we try to put all of those elements in there, and I think we were able to do it, and we're very happy with that. And so
it's so good. It's really one of the best music videos I've ever seen, and it's just stunning. The performance and the way it was shot, and that it's so great to always see that type of presentation in the blues world, because I think for the most part, it's safe to say from what I've seen, a lot of blues artists, there's definitely a cinematic feel in other genres, but with the blues, it's usually kind of more, it's a little bit more gritty, it's a little bit more indie, and that's cool, that's great. But it's always refreshing to see, like, wow, boom, punch, cinematic, so many layers to the storytelling. You look great on camera, that's always a plus. But to deliver a music video like that is not there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of a lot of hands in the pot with that, you know. So I really commend you guys for moving forward.
Thank you. You know, a lot of record companies, or especially blues record companies, they don't want to invest and to do produce a video on that scale, and I can understand why with the pandemic and with the internet, record sales are down, and so it's a big thing to invest in that, and so that's why again I'm just fortunate to have that support from my good friend and his daughter. As a matter of fact, we just released the title video of the song, or the title song video from the title song, "Hard Time Blues," and we just released that video also a few months ago. So check that out, man.
Absolutely.
The first one was called City Street, and this one is called Hard Time Blues. So I'm eager to hear what your thoughts is on that one.
The Hard Time Blues music video?
Yes.
Oh, I love it. I've already seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the City Streets video.
No, I think it's Hard Time Blues, right? You in the bar or the diner and in the church. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was fantastic. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I'll have to see what's the name of the other one. I don't know if I saw the other one.
The City Streets.
City Streets. Okay, I'll make a note of that.
I won the awards.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the new one from the title song is Hard Time Blues. It just came out, so we
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. Well, Hard Time Blues is going to win awards too, so you know. So let me ask you real quick, because you kind of segued into the record companies and more the business side of the industry, and I wanted to touch on that. I had a question here, just kind of, you know, what are your thoughts on the music industry? You've been in it now for a bit, even though you started a little bit later in life with the career, but you've obviously found success. You found it internationally, and would love to have you. You've been with Rough Records, from what I read. You've been with some other record companies. I don't know who you're with currently right now, but just kind of, you know, walk us through that process, your thoughts on it, and really kind of like main lessons learned. And it doesn't need to be positive or negative, just, you know, whatever you want to, you know, talk about. Would love to get your thoughts on the music industry in general.
Well, the music industry in general is a business, and I think it's necessary because this is a way to get our music out to the people, right, in a bigger way. I was fortunate to be to start off with Roof Records, and Thomas Roof was a friend of mine, and we done a lot of CDs with him, but as I keep growing, I wanted to try out different things. So then I left him and went to Dixie Frog in France, and I did two albums with him, and then I left him and started to produce and do albums on my own, because I thought I know a little bit more about it. This last album I done with what they call Continental Record Service out of Holland, and he's a really good guy. It's a small company, and so the thing is with record company and blues music, it's still, the business side is still small,
right? So
you don't get this mainstream support, and because of that, if you can, I would say to all the singer songwriters or musicians out there, if you can do it without a record company, you maybe should do that. It will, I think you will make more money, and you will learn a lot, and you're able to do nowadays what the record company are able to do. You see, because of the way the internet and things are set up, we're able to cover a lot of ground nowadays. So you don't necessarily need a record company, you see. And without using a record company, you keep most of your money in your pocket. But for me, it was a great move to use a record company, because the plus sides of it, that they have a territory, and they can really get you known where in a short period of time, where you yourself, it might take a minute,
Right.
And that's the biggest, I think, help for me that I experienced with the record company. And this short period of time, I was able to spread all over in a big way. But for as money wise, I think if you do it yourself and you own your rights, you will be more successful in that way. So you have to see
There's
what
pros and cons.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
it just depends on your situation. And I think it really comes down to network, right? So if you have the network, if you have the infrastructure, and you have enough contacts to make it happen without the record company and putting that, it's like, you either pay the percentage for them to do it, or you have to put more time in, but you do keep more of the income that comes in. So,
Exactly.
and then again, it has to do with the opportunity cost of how much time is going to take to get you to that place of visibility versus, well, I think I can do it pretty quickly, or having kind of this entrepreneurial spirit of, okay, well, how am I going to do this? How are we going to get the exposure? And it's interesting seeing it in a genre that's been around for over 100 years, so to speak, and mainstream. I mean, blues was mainstream before pop was, because it really was there before pop. I mean, Elvis was pop.
Yeah.
Hendrix was pop. BB King was pop at the time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny to see it, and it's great to see it still prevalent and really in. I don't know if it's dominating, but it's definitely there, and it's still prevalent in the industry. And then to see it kind of shift with everything technology wise, social media, that in itself is a majority of the time now, I think, that's spent is really, how do we get exposure out there on the internet?
That's right.
And it's not going to change. It's just totally, I mean, it's like, I feel, for me as an artist, I feel more like a video producer and a content creator than I do an artist in this day and age,
Now that part is so important. That exposure and is more important than, well, I guess for most of us as artists, it's more important than the music. I mean, the money.
Right.
Exposure is, you want to be seen and be heard, and so and that way, that's a big plus for the record company side. But now it's changing, like you say. So you got to get this social media thing working, because that is what's happening. And so a lot of the blues artists fall short on that side. They might not have that many followers. They might not be that savvy. I'm not on the computer. So you have to start it to dive into that and get that thing rolling. And if you got that rolling, I guess you could make it without a record company. And so and a lot of things what happened with the blues, I believe that when you started talking about blues, people feel that, oh, it's some sad, or it's some left my baby, and this type of music, or it's just a 12-bar blues shuffle, and blues, that's just a style of blues. But blues have many styles and many ways to perform this music. That's why I like the artists like Care Mo. I mean, this guy is incredible, a blues man. But the way I just went to his show last week, he was over here in Germany, solo, and he just was so incredible. He had the audience in his hand, each out his hand, and simple. And he played some of the difficult songs by himself on acoustic guitar, simple chords, and just really told the story.
Right.
And that's what blues music is about, telling your story. And sometimes the story is about, my baby left me in a 12-bar blues shuffle, but sometimes it's about other things, and beautiful things, and that singer-songwriting style, and that's what I try to, make sure my audience get that blues is happy music, not just sad music. We speak
Absolutely.
about it's happy music.
Absolutely. And speaking of songs, I want to touch on two things real quick. I want to talk about you from kind of, it appears that you're a multi-instrumentalist, because when I saw you, you were you were playing, I don't know what you were playing, but it was the coolest damn thing I've seen in my life. I think it was like a small trap drum kit because you were center stage. You had these really good musicians side to side of you. I think it was like a 3 or 4 piece.
Yeah.
You were sitting down playing this kit and singing like it was nothing. And man, I was like, man, I haven't seen that since somebody like Buddy Miles. Like this is just crazy.
Yeah.
And then I think your guitar player was Italian or so. I just remember that whatever band that was 9 years ago, that band was fantastic. But you were playing and singing at the same time, and was just curious. I've seen you standing up, kind of doing more of the frontman thing. What's your deal? You know, how does that work? How do you choose what to do with the band situation? And I think it's awesome. It's very rare. You know, you think of the Don Henleys, the Buddy Miles, maybe the Don Brewers from Grand Funk Railroad, but it's very rare to see somebody behind. And as a drummer myself, you know, I made a choice to get up front just to not be surrounded by gear and just try and, you know, talk to the people and get up there and connect. But for you, it doesn't really matter. You're connecting whether you're sitting down or, you know, standing up. So I was just curious to see how that kind of came about and your thoughts on that.
It came about because, like I say, my first love was drums.
Okay.
I could, back in the day, do anything with a drum. Even though I never owned a drum set, but I used to beat on books and pans.
Wow.
And my first cousin just taught me a lot of the rudiments and the
yeah.
And so when I reduced this things down to a duo, my guitars was not really keeping the tempo for me right, and so I decided to help him with that. What you saw, the box that you saw, it's
right.
called a Cahoon. And back in the day, was not many people playing that. In the early days, I remember when I went to Hungary, and I was about the first one playing that instrument in that country. And what I used to do, I used to take a bass drum pattern and turn it backwards and play with my heel and use it on the cajon for the bass drum sound.
Yeah.
And I used to have a little like a drum pad on my knee and beat on that for my little snare sound. and then I could keep my little rhythm going and then sing my little songs, and then a duo, it works well.
Yeah.
I feel like you feel after a while. I say, well, I get all this gear around me because later on I put the snare drum there. I had all the cymbals there, and the cajon, the congos. I had all this stuff around me.
Yeah,
I can't reach the people. I got a nice story to tell, but I got to do all this, and so I stopped. And then I just started to doing the front man thing without anything in front of me, and so basically. When I work in an acoustic formation, in a very small formation with just a guitarist, then I would put the bass drum on the table and started playing, not on the table, but I would resort to that.
Right.
I would start back playing percussion, basically. If I'm with a band, and then I would stand up and do the band thing.
Yeah.
And so that's how I decided. But I played most of my song was written with the bass guitar. So I played the bass guitar a little bit, just enough to get my idea down. And maybe you might have seen some videos where I might be on stage playing, but I'm not so comfortable with that. So I don't play a guitar or bass on stage most of the time. It's a special effect when I might do that. My main thing is to tell my story, sing my song, and sometimes play the percussion.
It was so minimalist, but it was so effective. And it's funny because when you're talking, I'm realizing I don't think I remember anything about that night except your performance. I don't even remember what I did. I don't even remember what band I was. I don't even remember the band that I had. I don't even remember what I did. I just remember the venue. It was the Hayti Heritage Center, Durham Blues Festival. Big Daddy Wilson absolutely killing it on this freaking tin can drum set and just slaying people. And it was like, man, this guy's just off the charts. So, I think you had the cajon. You had like one little snare and then a hi-hat and a ride. I was like, this dude's serious. This dude is like,
Yes.
Yeah, it was so good.
We had a lot of fun, man.
So
That
so
was my homecoming gig there.
yeah, it must have been, right, because you've been in Germany now for a few decades, then
Yeah,
like 20, 30 years.
exactly. 30 years, man.
Wow. And while we're talking about, I got to throw this in there too. While we're talking about live performance, I throw this question in, typically for a performer, which is, and it's kind of two sided. What was your best and worst gig experience? Like if you could think of the absolute best and then the absolute worst, and just kind of, if you got two quick stories on those, I love
Okay.
throwing that question in because all the artists that listen can totally relate to, like, yeah, we were playing under this tent. It was a freaking Category 4 hurricane, but we had to play to still get the check, and nobody. It was like three people there, and then you have those shows where you're playing, and again the red carpet's rolled out. So I was just curious to hear from you, And sometimes I don't know the hurricane shows are the best. It just depends.
Well, I've got to be careful how I say this. My worst show, my wife was telling me she thinks she know, but my worst show is still, I flew in and I was in Switzerland. And I flew in from some other gig I had, and I didn't have my band with me. And the guy said, "Well, no, we got a band for you there, and it's going to be great." I don't normally do this because my music is, it's my own music, and it's not the traditional blues shuffle.
Right,
And
right.
guys, they said they got my album, they know my songs, so it's going to be great. I get there, I have a cold, I have a sore throat, and get to the venue, and the venue looked like, I mean, wow. I said, now. I hate it. But I'm there. I had to do it. And the guys, man, they was the worst I seen. I mean, his snot was coming all out the man. And and he was just it looked pitiful. Didn't know the song. And what topped it off, when we was carrying the gear inside this location, I had by mistake, I stepped in some shit.
Nice.
And it was, some dog stuff. And I didn't know it. And I'm smelling around. Because I'm looking at the situation. I said, these guys, they stink. Oh man. And I just felt bad. And then I look, it's me. And so, you feel like that. You step in shit, you feel like shit. And so I said, man, okay, I'm cursing too much. But anyway.
No, don't worry about it. It's we keep it. It's feel free. Feel free. There's freedom on the show.
We go on stage, and the only person know the song is the guitar. They had the guitars, was a substitute guitar from them. He knew the song, but the bass player and the drummer, they didn't know the song, and it was the worst experience I had.
Wow.
So I had to sing with all my might, my throat killing me. And we got through. The people felt that, okay, I'm in the rest, and they were so kind, and they loved it. They loved it, and I just feel so bad. And when it was over, I just went straight, to the hotel. And the guy said, "Look, we want to be your backing band." I said, "I be damn." I said, you won't ever see me no more. But anyway, that was about the worst gig I had, man. The worst experience. I just felt I robbed the people.
Yeah.
Not true to myself. It just won't. It was a thing for me to say, no, we don't do the show. But the people had paid the money. You go out there anyway. But I don't feel like giving that type. I mean, that type of performance. I owe the people.
Right.
You can't do that. And I just didn't think a band would present themselves to me and know that little about the song. I mean, they don't know the song. You can't learn a song on stage, and with the audience, and you can't learn the song in the sound check. I mean, you can a little bit, but you tell them in the sound check what they do. They get on the stage and do the opposite because they're unfamiliar with this here.
Right.
The tempo was not there. The sound was not there. The looks, what they presented was, I don't know. It's not no musician or nothing that I was accustomed to, and it just made me feel so bad.
Yeah.
And that was about the worst show I ever had.
Well, real quick before we get into the best, I got to add on. I totally relate. as a solo artist, I've had a few of those experiences as well, where there's a band that's, it's out of state or whatever. You have to just, you have to make it work.
Yeah.
And again, it just can be a complete train wreck, but you have no other choice but to get through the set or get through the show, because you have people that are there. And, as you probably can attest, 9 times at 99, if you took a survey of that night, 95% of the people still had a good time. And somehow, in some way, there's just that magic where, at least if the vocal is there, and even if if the vocalist is sick, but the vocal is there, the intentions are good, and the band's crap, somehow, in some way, the energy still pings and people enjoy themselves. And that's really what it's about. So, but I wouldn't expect anything less from you, because you're Big Daddy Wilson. So, let's go. But yeah, best show, anything memorable, it could have been for 2 people, could have been for 2,000, 20,000 people, whatever in your mind is the best or most memorable so far.
It's a lot of them.
That's great. And that's a good answer, right? That's a great answer.
It's a lot. But one of them is when I had the chance. I told you I used to listen to gospel. And I had a chance in Denmark to go on stage with my hero, first of all, Eric Bibb.
Yeah.
Hans Tessen, who I've done some work with recently, and the Blind Boys from Alabama. And no, Mississippi. What I'm saying, Mississippi Blind Boys. So I get the name mixed up. Anyway, my grandmama used to listen to these guys, and they used to come on the Little Walk Show, the big 910 Little Walk Show out of Windsor, North Carolina, back in the day.
Wow.
And I was a boy, and I said, well, these guys, I would never in my life see these guys or even play with these guys. And I had a chance to go on stage with these guys. And I played I was a little drummer. I was a cajon player, and doing it, keeping it, the beat, the rhythm. And I had a chance to do about 3 of my own songs, because my band was there also. And Eric Bibb was there, Hans Tessen with his band there, and it was a big stage, all of us on stage at the same time and playing our music, and I was the drummer and doing that, and that was so good. Those guys, wow, they sung so good. It was a magical night event. I mean, it was a lot of audience out there, man, and it was. They had some guys from Africa dressed in their African attire. And they were singing background, man. That was so good. Them guys were singing like, I mean, it was amazing. And so that was, I would say, the highlight, the best concert that I had.
That's great. That's so great. I want to talk about. Actually, I want to go back to your creative process for a second, because we were talking about songwriting. I do want to get this in before we start to wrap up. Your creative process, writing style, you have multiple genres infused with what you do. I'm curious to see, it sounds like you started from a poetic standpoint. How do you write? What's the creative driver there? Is it through repetition? Is it through inspiration? Your thoughts?
It's both. I'm glad you say that. It's repetition, because I'm not a guitarist. I play some fields and some ground notes on the bass. And what I normally do is go in my little studio and pick up my guitar or bass and started to playing a small little riff. And I keep playing that little riff until something comes to me.
Right.
And I said, ooh, and then the song is born. And most of the time it happens like that. Very few times maybe some words will come in, and then the song is that way. But most of the time it's because I keep hitting that thing and messing around, having fun, and after a while I got something,
Yeah.
And so it's just amazing. And sometimes it comes to me in the shower, or I wake up in the middle of the night and have to write something down.
Right.
It used to happen very often, but now not so much. Most of the time I have to go in there and pick up the guitar or the bass and mess around with it. And then a song. And my friend Everett gave me a songwriting guitar. It's a little guitar.
Cool.
It's great, and I call it my songwriting guitar. And so I picked that thing up and mess with that, and if I mess with it long enough, it's going to produce a song.
Something's going to come out. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
You've talked about a lot of faith infused, obviously the gospel background, growing up in church. And I actually thought this was pretty interesting in your bio and life story, how you spent a lot of time in church. I did too. So I can relate. And it kept me out of trouble for the most part. It was a little boring at times, but then again, I don't know. It depends on what church you go to, because some churches aren't boring, right? I wanted to get your thoughts on faith, spirituality, and infusing that into the music, and just kind of taking those steps in faith with speaking your truth. I think it's really important to do that and to be organic that way. And if you have that background, to infuse it. But yeah, just kind of talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind, and really, would love to learn more about kind of your thoughts on that topic.
Faith is very important to me. I think the reason why I'm a blues musician or a musician or a writer at all is because of faith. I've been given a gift, and I just wanted to spread it, to give it back, and so it's very, very important for me. So that's why most of my song is in honor to the Creator and to people. We are brothers. We are family, no matter what color you are, no matter where you're from. And that's what I truly believe in, and that's what my life have shown me. And so it's just something very beautiful, and keep me grounded, like you say, and keep me humble. Also, music, much as I love music, is secondary. People got to be in the first place, and you got to have love for people, because if you don't have love for people, I write songs for people. So I of course write for myself to express some of the things I've been through, but
right,
do it so I can connect with people, and that's why we do what we do, and we should always make sure we keep focus and keep that focus. Understand that it's not to be a star, it's not to who wrote the best song or who sounded the best. Can I touch you with something? Can I share something with you that would make you smile or make you think, and to make you a better person, to make me a better person, and to make us come closer together? This is what I'm all about, and I think that this is the way I must use this gift that's been given to me, and try to bridge that gap. And I'm happy to do that, and that's why my motto has always been, and it still will be, love is the key. I wrote a song saying love is the key.
Yeah.
And this is my motto, and that's what my message to the world and to anyone who I meet. And when they leave me, I hope they feel that, they feel that little piece of love, even though we're strangers. I want them to feel, I love you. I feel you, That's important for me.
I love that. That's great. That's so good. As we kind of wrap up, I want to talk about future plans for you, kind of what you have in the works. And obviously you and Hans, I think that was the latest record that you guys have done, and then also, it just so happens to be a collaboration with him. Payday, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Payday, yeah. And had a chance to listen to it. Great record. I think it came out later of 2021, kind of around December. Really, really enjoyed the sound on that. And any tour dates that you've got coming up? What do you guys have? What do you guys have in the works for the rest of the year and next year?
Well, tomorrow, I don't keep up with the tour, my manager, but tomorrow I'm going to Spain doing a show.
Wow.
And it's going to be a big festival with a lady from North Carolina, Nikki Hill.
Okay.
And so she's going to be there.
Wow.
I'm happy to see her. I still think that she played with the guitarist Laura Chavez, and Laura was on my helped me produce my Deep in My Soul CD, and so I hope to see them there. but Corona have messed my schedule up pretty bad. So most
Right.
of my shows are one nighters. So I do a one night here in Spain, and I just left Spain last week, and then I fly back over for one show. So we don't have this tour going not yet like it used to be.
Right.
It's, but with Hunts, getting back to Hunts, yeah, that was album that we did, just Hunts and I, and acoustic album, and was happy to do that because he was one of the guys who I always wanted to play with acoustically because I was inspired by him when I had my first acoustic duo on the road, and we listened to a lot of his music, and
Yeah.
he's that good that I said, well, if I could get a chance to play with him, I would, and it came up, the opportunity came up, and so we took it. I'm working on a new album with my band. By the way, Faith is one of the songs on that
Cool.
album, speaks about faith. And so Corona have enabled me to go in the studio and write a lot of songs. So I got many songs. I'm working on a project that I do singles with all kind of different musicians that I've met in my life, and try to do this one song, one single, and put out an MP3 on the internet with that. And so I got a lot of things in the works, and so. Yeah, and a lot of touring. So we will be touring with that duo coming up in March
That's great.
next year.
That's
And
great.
okay. Well, I'm always on the tour with my band, and so hitting this place and that place, and all over Germany and France and all over Europe. Then we really do the whole Europe thing. We can do some things in Africa. Uh, we haven't been back to Australia, not yet, and New Zealand, but we hope to get back over there. And so it's a lot of things planned, and so we just look forward to see what would happen, what would really happen.
I love it. So good. So good. I've got a fun little thing I like to do at the end called the shootout section, which is I just say a word that's related to the guest, and you say a word back, like the first word that comes to mind, and there's no right or wrong answers. It's just kind of like a fun little popcorn answer thing.
All right.
So blues,
Great.
rock,
Love it.
drums.
Wow.
I'm the same way. Guitar,
Beautiful, really beautiful.
vocals,
Soul,
lyrics.
lyrics. Uh, one word with lyrics. What can I say? My message.
I love that. It's great. Germany,
Germany. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. My second home.
North Carolina.
My home.
Right.
I get in trouble, man. I'm getting in trouble.
Yeah. Stage.
Stage. The stage. I'm gonna give you one answer, but I'm gonna later on. I'm gonna tell you why. But the stage. Uh, stage is my platform.
Yeah.
The reason why I had to pause on that. I used to hate the stage. I used to be very shy,
Wow.
and so people see me on stage. They say, what are you doing? And I get nervous and whatever. But I come to love the stage, and I come to love what I'm. Well, I always love what I'm doing, but it's given me an opportunity to tell my story. So it's my platform. It's a place where I get an opportunity to say something, to give something back. And so it's a nice place, but at the same time, it can be awkward for me. So that's why I say the stage. Well, I had to take some time.
Right. That's really interesting. You touched on nerves. How did I don't know if we ever really get over them, even as seasoned performers. But for you, real quick, that's a great point. How have you kind of overcame that or overcome that? Like, how did that happen for you? Was there like a thought process, or just after doing so many shows, it's just, kind of like whatever? Like, what are your thoughts on that? If you were really nervous for a number of years, and then if there was one nugget of truth or one nugget of information that you could tell the listeners about, just getting over stage fright or just nervousness with being on stage?
Well, it's not just one; it's maybe two main ones.
Yeah.
Be prepared and support. Like I told you, my nightmare was that band who did not know my music.
Right.
I'm so happy now. I have a band who I always tour with. They know my music. They know my mood. They know my feeling. And for me, it was always a thing to go on stage without hearing anything is a nightmare. My first 3-4 seconds, if I go on stage without, sometimes I take the stage and read something, or talk to the audience. This is a nightmare. But if I hear a sound, just woo or whatever, a sound does something to me that I can do it. I'm in my element. If I hear any type of sound, it could be just tuning the guitar. That helps me to relax. So
wow,
I would say be prepared, and if you have the right support, then you will not be afraid. Now you will be nervous because that's a part of that energy going on stage, and you've got the audience there. And I think you should have that. You should have that. If you, I guess, if not nervous, you don't care. And I guess you and I, and most singers and songwriters, we care so much that we're gonna be nervous, but afraid. What I used to be, I don't have that fear anymore. I go to going on stage.
Yeah, that's so great, and that's really interesting about how just that one sound, or that it's almost like a trigger,
Yeah,
where
you got it too.
you hear the guitar being tuned or something going on. That's really interesting. I'm gonna marinate on that for a while. I don't know why. I like that. There's something there. There's like a chapter in a book there. So, there's something there, like a YouTube episode or whatever. I'll have to get back in touch with you on that for when we get on that. Last shootout word for you, but the most important, which is pizza.
Pizza. You say pizza?
Pizza. What's the first word that comes to mind when I say pizza? What are you thinking?
I think you're telling the joke, but I think you're talking about my guys. My guys from Italy, my whole band. So
yeah,
make me think about my band.
Then that's it. That's the answer.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong answer on that. Last question for you, and I ask this to every guest at the end, which is, if you could go back in time to your 15-year-old self, knowing what you know now, what would you tell him as advice?
Wow. 15-year-old self. I was troubled at 15. I quit school at 15. And I would tell that young man, hang in there. Don't quit. Don't quit on nothing.
Wow.
Quitter never lose, never win.
Right.
It was a song that Johnny Lang sung. And I used to sing that song also. But a quitter never win. And so no matter how hard life may be, no matter what you may be going through, don't quit, because you're going to learn something. And you might not be successful, but at the end, for whatever it may be, but you don't quit, because you deny yourself of learning. That learning process, you're going to maybe have to learn that lesson later on in life. So whatever you stuck with, whatever wall you run into, don't quit, because sooner or later that wall is going to make you a better person. This is going to build your character. If you started to quitting all the time, you may end up it may lead to failure. You said you'll be a failure, but those winners are the ones who just push through and keep on. They might not be successful in the beginning, but the winner is not a quitter, you see. And I learned that lesson the hard way. I joined, after I joined the Army, I joined the U.S. boxing team, and I wanted to quit that too.
Wow.
because I was not a boxer. I just joined the team and I was getting beat up. And the coach used to say the same thing: "Don't quit, man. Hang in there. You got talent." And so I hung in there for a while. And after a while, I loved the sport. But in the beginning, they're killing me, But you don't give up. You keep on, and you're gonna learn something.
That's huge. That's huge. And I always there was something that I heard a while back. It was basically there's winners. Well, you either win or you learn. It's like just get the word lose and loss out of your vocabulary. That's something I've been working on for a few years. Is like
Great.
don't think of it as a loss. You have to think of it as like, okay, well, if you learn something out of it, it's not a loss.
There you go.
You
There
know.
you go.
So that's huge. I love that. That's great. This has been fantastic. Just let folks know where they can find you. I'm assuming BigDaddyWilson.com, right, is kind of the big website where everything kind of funnels there. Instagram, Facebook, Spotify. You're on all those platforms. We'll have those links down below again in the description box below.
Exactly.
But man, I'm just so glad we were able to get this in today. And any last words?
Thank you so much. It was nice meeting you again after
Yeah,
all of these years. And hey, man, keep on keeping on, man. Keeping the blues alive.
absolutely. I'll have to make my way out to Europe, and we'll have to do some shows or something together.
You're
Yeah,
welcome. You are welcome.
yeah. I haven't been yet, and everybody's saying you got to get out to Europe, and especially in the blues rock world, it's a whole different scene out there. It's almost like more mainstream in Europe, from what I've heard.
Really, really. And if you're looking for a record company out this way, I know a few. So really, man, let me know.
We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk after we're done recording here.
Okay.
It's funny that you bring that up because I am shopping right now.
All right.
So guys, this has been fantastic having Wilson, Big Daddy Wilson on the show. You guys know where to follow him. Get that link down below, description box below. Go stream Payday, go stream Hard Time Blues. Get this guy on your playlist. And if you're in Spain coming up soon, go see him coming up this week. Take a look for more tour dates coming up in March. You guys have been watching and listening to the Jason Damico Show, and thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you all on the next episode. Peace.